Hey everybody, my name is Kayce and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, what we are going to be working on is decorating the outside of Freckle's yard. So as you can see, I have a lot of space to work with. I have some ideas. I think I want to go ahead and use one of those little camper van codes. I found one that is for a bakery, and then I'll kind of just expand off of that. So I am going to start out with just trying to get a general idea of how I want to lay the camper van little standees out, and then I will continue decorating from there. I hope you all enjoy this video, and if this is something that you enjoyed, please leave a like on it and subscribe, but I will pop back in a couple minutes and let you know what I am working on. So I was kind of confused when I first laid down these standees. As you can see, they're kind of mixed up a little bit, and for whatever reason, I always place down the standee codes before even thinking about what type of pathing is going to go beneath them. So right now I'm just trying to figure out the order of the standees, and then I will come back in and move them around a bit more just to figure out what type of pathing I want to put underneath them. So right here I am just placing down some items that I think you would find at a bakery, and now I am just trying to figure out how I want to go ahead and lay down this pathing. I realize that it's just easier for me to lay the pathing down when I'm in the actual custom designs app, so I just started that up, and then I will finish placing down the bakery items on these stalls right here, and then I'm just going back in and using this brick pathing that I really like to kind of lay down the path for this area, and then I will be placing the camper van bakery code up next. So after I placed down this last piece of the standee, I just ran down the hill right there because I wanted to make sure you could see some of the items that I had up on the stall behind the standee codes, because there is that little gap between the stall and the standees. So I typically like to place these on top of a hill. So that's why I just wanted to make sure the items that I were using were able to be seen from a little bit of a distance. And right now I'm just testing out different blanket codes that I want to have directly outside of Freckle's yard. I tried the big one, but I just felt like it was too big of a code for the area directly outside of her house. So for now I am just sticking with that little placemat one, and then I will continue to expand on the design for the bakery. One thing I had to keep in mind when designing this little bakery camper van was that the word bakery is written pretty low on the front of that standee, so I had to be cautious of the items I used in front of that because I didn't want to cover up that little bakery sign right in front there. So I think I was able to use some good items. I'm just placing down a log bench and then just kind of playing around with what items I wanted to put right in front of it. I do leave that for now because I don't have the item in my pocket that I wanted to use, but I'm happy with how it ends up looking. So right here I am just laying down some more of this grass pathing. I have Freckle's house to the left of my entrance, so I just wanted to go ahead and continue using that same really light green grass pathing, extending all the way up to Freckle's house. So I don't know why, but for whatever reason, this area right here I was having a little bit of trouble with. I am just playing around with some different items and smaller seating areas at first, but I just don't like how it's coming together. So after testing out a couple different items, I decided to take a little bit of a break from that area and come back to it. When I first started this area, I really had no idea how I was going to lay out all of the pathing, but I think it helps to go in and fill in some of the areas kind of that are on the, I guess, perimeter you would call it, with some flowers or some fencing, and then you can go ahead and go back in with your regular path codes. I found this really pretty log plank code that I'll be using a lot all over my island to kind of lead you through this whole area. So I am just framing Freckle's front door with some more flowers and some custom codes. I found this really cute little cat code. I'm not sure if I'll keep it on my island, but I just thought it looked really adorable, like it was like a little outdoor cat just like hanging out in Freckle's yard. And now I'm going to try and come back over to this little seating area right here and see if I can make some items work. So I think part of the reason why I was struggling so much with this area was because of the items that I was using. I was picking items that were either too tall and blocked the things behind it, but I was able to finally come up with some item placements that I did like. I decided that I wanted to go ahead and put down some shoes and then use this baby chair because it didn't block too much of the area behind it. And now I am just going in with some filler codes and filling in the rest of this area with codes and flowers. And then I put down that little mum cushion right there. I just think it looks really cute. So like I mentioned, this area is directly to the left of my entrance, so I'm just coming up on top of this cliff and planting some flowers and then figuring out where I want to go ahead and place this stunted cedar tree. So right here I am just framing the camper van with some more trees, and then as I was building I realized that I wanted to have a couple more seating areas, like if people were coming to visit this little bakery camper, they obviously need a place to sit, so that's just what I am working on right now. For whatever reason, another thing I tend to struggle with when building certain things is the placement of my trees and stunted trees. I think that is a little bit tricky for me because, again, of the height difference between the items in the background and the trees, but I really love that medium hardwood tree. I just think it's so cute and it doesn't block too many of the things behind it. So I'm just going in and making sure these trees are stunted and then filling in the rest of the background to this first little seating area that I had made. So as I am filling this area in with flowers, I don't really like the two medium trees next to each other, so I decided to swap out that hardwood tree with a large hardwood tree instead, and I am using this little code. It's actually made by one of my friends on Instagram. It just looks like a little camilla bush. I think that's nice when you can't really fit in a flower in a certain area. And then I'm going to just start working on framing the rest of this area. I know I want to have at least one, if not two more seating areas, but again, I am struggling to try and find what items I can use for those seating areas. So because I couldn't figure out what items I wanted to use for my next seating area, I am just grabbing the stunted tree that I had by the entrance and bringing it back over by the camper van to kind of frame in this area a bit more. And then I will be working on filling in the rest of this area in front right here with some flowers, so I can kind of get a general idea of how big I want this area to be. And then I will come back over to my entrance and work on the terraforming right here. So I decided to expand these cliffs a bit more because if I were to put in another seating area, it just would have looked a bit too cluttered directly in front of the one that I had just made. But I am able to get the shape of these cliffs to how I typically like to have my cliffs. So I'm happy I went this route instead of over cluttering the area with too many different items. So now I am just going to be working on some little waterscaping for the top of this cliff, and then I will be filling in and decorating this cliff top. So now that I am just finishing up filling in this cliff top with some flowers and bushes, I do decide that I want to go ahead and extend some of these waterfalls into my build. I decided that I wanted to have the water going down into a river because I do want to break up some of this land down here, so I don't make it large enough of a river where you would need a bridge to cross it, but just big enough so it kind of gives it a bit of a break. When you're looking at it, you're not just looking at a whole bunch of just grass. I wanted to add some water because that's a nice little trick that I use when I find myself kind of struggling with thinking of items that I want to use to decorate a space. Just adding in some waterscaping will definitely help break up that space. As I'm doing this waterscaping, I'm realizing just how hard it is to make skinny rivers look natural. I spent way too long on this waterscaping, but it was worth it. I just kind of had to get back in the swing of doing some riverscaping, so I wanted it to look nice and windy, but I also wanted to have some of the corners rounded, so I was able to make it come together. Just took a little bit of practice. So now that I am getting to the end or the other side near the camper van, I do want to have this little river connecting to a waterfall, so I'm just expanding the cliffs on top right here so I can have a water flowing down into this little river that I had just made. So now that I finished that, I am just going to fill in the area behind the camper van with some flowers and different little items so it doesn't look empty. So right now I am just working on the last little seating area. I am trying to figure out what items I want to use. At first I have that kind of transparent rug coat on the bottom, but I didn't really like how that looked, so I wind up using this little blanket coat, and then I decide to go ahead and use a floor seat. Those items are so perfect to use in small spaces, and then I will use the log stool with the grapes on top of it. So now that I have that seating area finished, I just need to go in and fill in the last couple empty spaces around this build. I am thinking as of now I want to have another little area right here. I tried placing down this mountain bike. I'm not entirely sure I like how it looks, so I decided to come back over here and place it down kind of back here so it's a little bit hidden from being directly in front of all of the other items that I had already placed down. And now I'm just coming back to fill in the rest of the spaces behind the little camper van back here. So I actually decide that I want to use this white picket fence back here. It just looks nice. It gives this area a little bit more detail, and I really like how that looks. And then I'm just coming back in. I struggled with placing this mountain bike for whatever reason, but I was able to get it back in the position that I had originally had it. And then I will just be putting some Zen cushions down with some candles on top of it, and now I am just figuring out how I want to wind and twist the rest of this log plank path. So I'm coming back over here and I'm trying to make another little seating area work. So you'll see me laying down this blanket coat and then going in with this little spooky lantern set. I'm right now kind of just testing out this idea. I'm not entirely sure I will keep it. Typically when I am unsure of a certain little seating area I'm making, I will just kind of leave it sit for a while and try and finish and fill out the rest of the build. So that's what I'm doing right now, just going in and kind of framing the rest of the cliffs with some flowers. And now I'm coming back over here to try and switch out this blanket coat for another one, just to see if I really do want another seating area right there. And I actually decided to time travel to the next day because I don't know if you noticed, but that villager Olaf, if that's even how you pronounce his name, he kept getting in the way of this build and I absolutely cannot stand him. So I moved his house way back on one of my beaches because I just didn't really feel the need to keep looking at him while I was trying to be creative. So right now I am just trying out a different circular rug code, and I don't know if you saw Freckle's face right there, but she was smiling at the little cherry blossom bonsai. So as you can tell, I'm really trying to make this area work, but I decided that I'm not going to use a seating area right here, but instead I am going to place an outdoor bath. I don't really use that item too often, but if I could ever figure out the placement for it, there we go, I finally got it. I really like how it looks. Just need to go in and kind of move around a couple flowers and bushes and whatnot, but I feel like it adds a nice unique element to this area. So right here I am just putting the finishing touches on the rest of this speed build, filling in some certain areas with fencing and flowers, and just putting down some last minute little codes. I decided to expand this little plank path up a little more, and as you can see we have cute little Freckles just enjoying her new yard. So right now I am just placing down the birthday cupcake and adding in a couple more flowers. I decided to switch up the placement of the burliner and the little cupcake right here, and then place down the little Sanrio tea set next to the little tree on top of that Zen cushion. And I just have a couple more codes to place down, and I will take you all on the final walkthrough. Alright, so here is the final walkthrough for Freckle's yard. I built this little seating area off of recording. I just think it's cute and it fits in nicely with the rest of her yard. I really enjoyed decorating this, although at some points it was quite challenging. But if you enjoyed this video, please feel free to leave a like on the video and subscribe. I'm not sure if I had mentioned this already, but I have hit over 100 subscribers on my channel, so I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who has supported my channel. I really am so grateful for each and every one of you. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!